to Ink Paper Play Live. I'm Jo of Design with Jo, and I'm so glad you're here. Today we are going to be working with bold papers. So maybe papers that are sometimes difficult for us to create cards out of. Does this ever happen to you? Do you ever buy a beautiful pack? You see it in the catalog, you see it online, and you get it home and you look at it and you think, I'm not exactly sure what I can do with this. Sorry, got to turn myself down. And so you put it away, you age it. Well, today I want to show you some tips for working with bold, bright, colorful papers and a couple other tips, all kinds of things sprinkled along the way. So I know that you want to watch to the end because the project reveals are at the end, and I have 6 beautiful cards that I want to share with you today. These are all in the Easter theme. I'm using the Easter Joy paper because when I got this paper in my box, I looked at it and thought, that is pretty bold. I'm not too sure how I'm going to create with that. But I sat down and I thought, well, maybe other people have those issues. So, okay, we're going to get down to it right away. I'm going to show you the paper and we're going to get started. So hold on just a sec. I do always turn this off because I forget to, you get to see my ceiling for a little bit, but hopefully not too long before I switch it out. There we go. Okay, so let me know if that's good for you and you can see it. Also, please let me know where you're watching from. I do always like to hear where people are watching me from, and I also like to have questions. So whatever questions you have, what kinds of papers do you find the most challenging to work with? Are they papers like this that have lots of color, lots of things going on? Or are they sometimes the really subtle ones that you have the most challenge with? We're going to get to those later, like in maybe next week, but what we're working with this week is the Easter Joy paper, which is beautiful in terms of its colors, and it has foil in it as well. And so which of these ones is your favorite? Is it the Easter eggs, the tulips? Is it the eggs, the tulips, the flowers, everything on there, carrots too, the stripes, and you can see hopefully the shine on this, which is great. It's a little thicker paper when you're working with it. That's why it's sort of got a little bit of a wow to it. Then there's a cool design here, and then we have one sheet that is made for cutting up. So made for cutting up and adding to a card front. We're not going to work with that today, but we are going to work with lots of these. Okay, again, all of my samples are at the end, but let's get started. So first of all, the question you have to ask yourself is it the paper that's going to be the hero of your card, or is it going to be the background? And so what we are going to do today is a bit of both. So if your paper's on the bolder side, I generally decide that the paper becomes the background. Not always, but that way the whole card really gets revved up. So today, the first one I'm going to start with is this one here. And this guy here has so much going on. I've chosen one of the busier ones, I think, and the one that has lots of color. It's got different flowers, it's got different sizes, so there's a lot competing here. And I've just put that onto a basic white card. So when you have something like that, what you don't want to do is put just a very soft and little greeting on it, because when you do that, it gets lost. So what you have to think about is, okay, well, I need to make things larger. I need to make it a little bit bolder. So let's try that. So let's make this one a little bit bolder. Okay, going to put that on, and then maybe I'm also going to stick this on. Well, that's better. I can see it better, but it is just a little bit bland. And I'm hoping that maybe you agree with me on some of these, because it is just a little bit, I don't know, not quite there, right? So let's put that off to the side. So how about if we think about grounding the image to start with? So by grounding it, I mean, let's put on something that's going to maybe even break it in two, and it doesn't have to be right in the middle. I'm putting mine right in the middle, but pick one of the colors and just give a little strip of cardstock, plain cardstock, and that will immediately make it look a little bit better. So let's pull this guy in. Okay, well, that makes him look a little bit better, right? So you could stick a bow over here and you could be happy. So what we're doing is we're creating a focal point that doesn't compete with the background. It's bigger than the background. So we're getting there. So how about if we do something just a little bit unexpected? How about if we do something like take our really large letters and let's turn those into the focal point. And we can still pull in our little chick if we want, but here we have a card then that the first thing that the person who's going to open it up and grab it, they're going to see the Happy Easter. They're going to see the H and the E because it's bold enough. Okay, so that's one way that you can work with bold papers. Now I know you have lots of bold papers, some that have even great big flowers on it, right? Try it with that one and let's see what you get. Okay, next idea. So here I took another piece of the bolder paper. This one has lots of tulips, lots of color again. It's darker. It's sort of in your face. I've just put it on a piece of balmy blue. Now, what if we want to say, okay, I really like that piece. And you'll notice that in both of these ones, I used a full sheet. So a full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I want to tone this down just a little bit because again, I don't want this to be my entire card. I want it to be the background of my card. So the very first thing you can do that will immediately tone it down is put on a piece of vellum. And you can cover it up like that, which will tone it down and you have a border around, or you can also create sort of a border with your vellum. So this time I've just cut it out with one of our Everyday Arches dies. And so I've softened it, but I also have created a little bit more of a focal point right in the middle. So we don't want to lose all of the paper. We want to just make it, amp it up a little bit. So create a little bit of interest back there. Now, when you have something like this, you want to use bold greetings again. So your greetings need to be bolder than the Hello Spring because it would just, let me just pull that out, the Hello Spring. You could do that, but it sort of is getting lost. It is a little bit too small again. So again, take one that's a bit bigger, go for paper that is a complete contrast to the background. So go for a white or a vanilla or maybe even a beige or something like that that is going to contrast with the colors in your background. And then pull in maybe a little image or something like that and a little bow perhaps or a little piece of ribbon. And you want to keep your embellishments fairly simple here. You don't want to compete too much with everything, but what you get right now is that what they're going to look at first this time is going to be the Easter Bunny probably, as well as the greeting. So again, we're thinking with bold papers, we actually want to go bolder with some of the things that are going to be on the front of it. Bolder, but simpler, so less of them. Okay, so there's option number 2. And I do have the full cards done at the end, and they're actually going to be a little bit different. So what if we want to cut our paper? Not only is that going to create some contrast between the back of the card and the front, it's going to save you a little bit of money because you're not using as big a piece. But what I would recommend is rather than just having this end, how about if we try and use a piece of paper to coordinate? So a piece of our designer series paper to coordinate. So we could go with that one. To me, the size of this one and the size of these, even though they're different, are almost too similar. So it doesn't really break up and be a complete contrast again to the eggs. So I'm going for the eggs. So let's try this side. Now I've cut it, it's going the opposite way, but I could do this side. Now this side is a little bit calmer. There's less color going on, so it's not really competing. It's really bringing out the green items, which are Shy Shamrock, but there might be a better choice. I could go, this is the one where the eggs are. In fact, this is probably the piece I cut off, but on the back of that piece is a really nice subdued color. So it is crumb cake, and it just is going to separate our card and really draw the eye to the eggs. So I like this a little bit better because it's going to finalize the piece, make it a little bit quieter. Now, I should have another piece here. Oh, here it is. So what do you do with this now? Okay, so I still want this to be my background. So you're probably getting the gist that most of these are going to be backgrounds for me. So now I need some boldness. Okay, so I'm going with two big shapes. So either punch or die shapes in fairly standard, simple shapes, not anything that's really too fancy. And then I'm really going to create a bit of a picture on the front. So I'm going to use two of my bunnies on the front. And then I do need to have my greeting, and my greeting I'm going to put up here. So what they're getting now is they're getting a card that has the eggs in the background, but they have a little bit more going on here so that the eye again is drawn to the bunnies and maybe the greeting afterwards, but the bunnies are really what I want them to see first. So there's another option. So those are big pieces, and I've got two designs that I want to show you there. Now, something that you can always do, again, something that's going to give a lot more versatility out of your paper, is to punch or cut it out. So I've punched out some of that tulip paper and I've backed it on just one of our stylish shaped circles. And I can put that right on my card. And again, we're going for, instead of this being my background now, I want this to be my focal point. Because it's smaller, I can easily, it's not too busy, but it is just maybe a little boring all by itself. So I could bring in that piece again, which is okay. I think I need maybe a little bit bigger focal point, so I'm going to drape that there. Now, I'm not 100% sure I like that. Let's pull that aside and let's pull in some of the, some of the stripe paper. So it doesn't need to go all the way to the sides, but I like that because again, I've got a bottom piece and I have some color, the colors that coordinate, and the green down at the bottom here, this was just a coincidence, coordinates with my cardstock. And then you want to get sort of fun. Okay, so let's do a whole bunch of happy, happy, really happy Easter. And you can add a little bow, you can add some embellishments. Okay, so you're playing around with this one a little bit, but everything is sort of working together. We have a repeat of colors in our words, we have a repeat of colors in our little piece, and we have a repeat of color in our focal point. Okay, next one. What if you don't like that paper? So here's this paper again. It has two sides, and the opposite side of that one is really quite pretty. So this one here is very subtle. So the complete opposite to what we've been talking about so far with bold papers. This one is really quite simple. So all you have to do with this, cut it down. If you have some scraps left over, mat it onto a piece that coordinates. So this is just our balmy blue. You could double mat it if you want to pick up a little bit more color. I always like to have a little bit more color, but you don't have to. So there you have that. And then we've got our Hello Spring. Now I'm going to put it up here this time because I don't want to hide this little bunny here. And then I just have one Easter egg. So simple again, soft, easy to work with, but hopefully that gives you some ideas with this particular paper, but also your other bold papers. Now let me show you the actual cards that I made, and they're different. So this one here, same idea, but I really went bold with the Shy Shamrock being the one on top, and I layered it so that there are actually 4 layers underneath here of my H and my E, all in colors that coordinate with the background. I added a bow and I just added one tiny little Easter egg and just a few embellishments, not too many. The second one is the one with the vellum. So here's a different idea. So here I just use a rectangular piece, rectangle. And then how I framed it is I created a frame with my textured notes dies. And then I added, again, a lot of grounding with very vanilla, and used colors in the background and added just some more of the tulips. So this guy here was fun. This is the one that has the little more than half sheet of the eggs. A different, so that in the same package, there's another crumb cake on a crumb cake background this time. So a little bit of softness there, and colors in the, picked up the shy shamrock and the crumb cake, and then created a little scene with a whole bunch of little guys going on there and some grass. And my Happy Easter is down here. So although it's competing a little bit, I think the first thing they're going to see is the Happy Easter and the bunnies. Tell me what you think. Now, the other idea that I did for that one is I did a diagonal card. I used the smaller design, and I bordered it with the stripes. These stripes are great for a bunch of things. You'll see it in the next card. And then I used a couple big Easter eggs, and these are from the die cuts that we have for spring. Added my words on top, and again, the circle in the background. So there's that one. Now this one is the one where I took the circle and I mounted it. This one I did as a peek through, so I cut it out here. And then I just added a strip here to coordinate and bring it together, pull it together, added some white, and then I cut everything out there. Okay, and then our soft and subtle card, a little bit bigger one, just pulled in one of the daffodils from the dies. So I hope that gives you some ideas. I hope that you pull out your packages of bold paper and give them another look, because there's all kinds of things that you want to do with it. I want you to feel confident when you're cutting your paper. I don't want you saving it. I don't want you to be intimidated by it. I want you to be the boss of it. And if you've ever felt like you're saving that good paper, stay tuned, because in March we're going to do something about that. If you're on my email list, you're going to hear about it first. And my email is right here. You can get on the list at designwithjo.ca/join Jo's email. Thanks very much. We will see you again next week. And next week's is going to be about some paper again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.